Alright, I gotta fix my entire stream, basically, it's looking like. My camera, for some reason, is having issues. That has been a thing in the past. I guess it's back now. And hey, so am I. So, while I get all my ducks in a row and, like, wait for people to join, after not posting for so long and just hopping on a random, like, random Friday afternoon, I'm sure there's not going to be a whole lot of you guys that pop up. But I am going to pull this up, be proper, make sure I can see everything and be able to interact with you guys, because that's my favorite part of actually live streaming. And what a time to get back. What up, though, indeed. How's it going, Tim Yak? Good to see you coming back as soon as I log on. That is absolutely crazy. Definitely one of my top guys that always shows up. But hey, there is some big news in the cannabis space. Mr. Trump has signed an executive order, allegedly. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Rescheduling marijuana. And we're going to kind of dive into it. What's going to be in stake for us? How is that going to affect the actual progress that we're going to be facing when it comes to legalization, when it comes to research that we're able to do, when it comes to the access that people are going to have is one of my biggest concerns. Got you walking out of the shower. Amen. Complete respect. Glad to see that we're getting our hygiene going. Mo Manic Meds, how's it going, man? Glad to see you. Got the strawberry smoke going. Are you smoking on strawberry cough, or are you smoking on something else that's strawberry? So, Trump in the executive order to reschedule weed to Schedule 3. Now, originally I did have some problems with this because I didn't exactly know what it entailed. How it's going to affect us, I can go over. It's a moot point, I assume, right? Or it's a mutt like the strain you're smoking? I don't know. Anyway. So the basic points when it comes to rescheduling weed to Schedule 3, it's going to be more accessible to medical because they have legally accepted that there is a medical purpose for marijuana. It can be prescribed. People are going to be able to be prescribed to it. I'm sure there's going to be some pharmaceutical drama that comes from this, stemming from the rescheduling. We're going to be able to have scientists get a hold of cannabis and be able to study it without having to jump through a lot of unnecessary hoops that they would have had to before. We're going to be able to understand this plant on a level that we've never been able to understand it before. And I gotta say, it's the only thing I've seen Trump do that I've, like, even somewhat supported personally. So we'll go over it. We'll look at Trump actually signing it, reclassifying it. It's going to be a slow ride. Funk can't fly with it still. Can't fly with Trump. I'm not a supporter of Trump personally either. I don't fly with the guy. I don't like his domestic foreign policy or personality, really, if I'm being real. I think my daughter's trying to break into the studio. Okay. Alright, I'll be right back. I'll let people float in here. I gotta be a dad for about five seconds, and then I'll be back, and then we'll look at this, guys. So leave your likes, leave your comments. What do you feel is going to come out of rescheduling cannabis after so long. We'll probably even look into the history of it and just kind of talk about it. Reasons why it got scheduled one in the first place, reason why it got illegalized in the first place, and kind of just be able to look at it from an objective perspective and look at all of the data we can possibly find. And that will be when I come back, so stay tuned. I can't personally stand behind that sentiment, Douglas, but you do you, I suppose. We're not necessarily going to be. I've been being a dad. I've been struggling with unemployment a little bit, and then I got like a part-time job, and I've just been going through the ringer. Plus, being a father of two, my life's just been busy. I can't give as much time as I've wanted to, but I do want to be here more for you guys. I'm going to be starting a new garden. I've actually made my first set of genetics. I've created my own strains, if you will. So we could talk about that if you guys want to. I do have seeds that I literally just put into paper towels to germinate, and I'm gonna get the whole like garden situation back in order. This is going to be my son's room at some point, but I am going to be able to do a quick run of those plants and possibly in the meantime be able to set up another grow space. I find it really hard to make myself do content when I'm not like growing simultaneously, and I've also been in one of like the worst when it comes to physical health and mental health in the past couple of months, just given everything that I've been put through. But I'm not here to bitch and bleed and moan on you guys, but I have been dealing with my own shit. So we've all got our own lives going on, and a good thing about this is I do have the blessed security that all of you guys on the other end of this camera, or a lot of you guys on the end of this camera, are going to be here when I get back. I have a lot of peace in mind in that, because in the past you have proven to be a very loyal audience, and I really appreciate that. And part of that is I do have the privilege to log off every once in a while, get my head screwed back on straight, and understand what I'm doing in my life, and try to get my shit together while I go through my new chapters. So until this is like an actual full-time thing, it very much could be this kind of weird pattern, but I'm very passionate about this space, and I will always be returning to it. So no matter how long I'm gone, I can promise you guys that I'll never be gone forever. I just do have other facets of my life, and I'm just trying to establish my life. I'm in my late 20s. I have all of these routes I can go down, and I have just still infinite potential in my life, and I recognize that. So I'm trying to navigate a pivot in my life. And one of those things right now is being very busy with my daughter, who just turned 3. So being a dad for the past 3 years, it's a lot. And then I have a son who just turned 7 months old. Daughter wants to go potty. Get summoned. Must be on the same period. Paper towel, 4 seed yesterday. Hell yeah, man. I actually haven't grown since, it's been a couple months, actually. And thank you, AB Farm. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. All right, so here for weed. Well, we're going to get into the weed news.
I took control, went solo, and built my own online knife empire.
Trump signing the executive
with
order.
Chronic medical problems that severely degrade their quality of life. And it's so really, I mean, just, I can't tell you, I think I probably have received more phone calls on this, on doing what we're doing. I don't think I received any calls on the other side of it, but hopefully this reclassification, which by the way polls at 82%, will help many of those patients live a far better life. We're joined today by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's doing a fantastic job, Administrator of Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, the FDA Commissioner, Dr. Marty Makary, Director of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, and the Director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, Dr. Nora Valkow, as well as Dr. Ilana Braun from the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Duke University's Dr. David Casseret, the National Commander of the American Legion, Dan Wiley, and my friend Howard Kessler. Howard, how are you feeling? I'm telling you, he looks better than he did 20 years ago. But I don't want to go through what you went through to get there. Right? But it looks like you're doing great. I'm proud of you. I want to emphasize that the order I am about to sign is not the legalization, or it doesn't legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug. It has nothing to do with that. just as the prescription painkillers may have legitimate uses, but can also do irreversible damage and never, if you look at some of the damage that can be caused, wreck lives, and if it's abused, it's never safe to use powerful controlled substances in recreational manners, and especially in this case, if you take a look,
It depends on how you
illegal
define
and
safe.
unregulated drugs, very, very bad thing. So I've always told my children, don't take drugs, no drinking, no smoking, and just stay away from. I've always told my children, don't take drugs, no drinking, no smoking, and just stay away from drugs. I have been, they would look at me and they said, Dad, would you stop saying that? I would say it every time I looked at it practically. Young Americans are especially at risk, so unless a drug is recommended by a doctor for medical reasons, just don't do it. At the same time, the facts compel the federal government to recognize that marijuana can be legitimate in terms of medical applications when carefully administered in some cases. This may include the use as a substitute for addictive and potentially lethal opioid painkillers, and they cause tremendous problems. This can do it in a much lesser way, can make people feel much better that are living through tremendous pain and problems.
So right here he's going through like a lot of things that we as the community have known for years. Can be used in place of prescription painkillers, is really good for people who are getting off of addiction cycles, and like improves the quality of life for people dealing with chronic illnesses, pain, depression, anxiety, and all sorts of other things that just are not ideal to deal with. So he's confirming all these things. He's at least saying them, even if he doesn't necessarily believe them. He's talking about how he's been very forward with his kids for some reason about don't do drugs, just stay off drugs unless the doctor says drugs are dangerous. And it's really weird how he's going about this, but this goes on for a half hour. The First Lady has nothing but reefer madness and negativity in regards to cannabis. That'd be interesting to go over. And actually, one of the things I did want to talk about is the one of the things that have come out in the past couple of weeks, or at least I've been seeing like posts about it on Facebook and articles popping up. Scientists are talking about a illness that you get from a extended period of use of cannabis. And the symptoms that they are describing, the illness that they're trying to get across, is what we know as greening out. And people who have been on my channel for a long time will know that I've done a video about greening out, and I've done videos where I talk about greening out, and it really sounds like that's what they're talking about. I can't remember what exactly they called it. It was like, man, I don't even know. Does anyone know? Like in the chat, I'm blanking on it for some reason. They're calling it something where some syndrome. It's obviously a scam, but I wanted to read about it, educate people on what they're saying about cannabis, because it's really just the next fear mongering that they're trying to get across. They're like, because they want to be like, oh, the executive order was passed, and now we know this about cannabis. If you take too much, you could get sick. You're gonna vomit for an extended period of time. It's the worst drug, is what the scientists are saying, who wrote the cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. Thank you, Tim Yak. That is one of the craziest string of words I've ever heard. Some people do get sick after 3 or 4 tokes and never smoke again. They have a really bad experience. I've seen those people. I've been around those people. For a lot of people, like they just try to do it, and then it ends up not working out for them, and that's fine. You know, like weed isn't for everyone. If you have a bad experience the first time doing something, you're like 90% less likely to do it a second time. Like, that's just kind of common sense. I feel like something a lot of people aren't looking past when it comes to this is people who have been doing this type of thing for a long time. Sometimes you get bored and you know it's not going to kill you, so you just smoke a fuck ton of it, and then you live in the repercussions of that. And a lot of people who have been doing it for that long can handle the responsibility of that, especially since no one's life is at stake. So hypermesis means to vomit. Hyper is, well, hyper. So yeah, mesis means to vomit, and hyper is hyper. So hyper vomiting is basically what they're trying to say is something that will happen if you smoke too much weed. And it definitely can, but it definitely doesn't always either.
40 states and multiple U.S. territories have already recognized the use of medical marijuana. This reclassification order will make it far easier to conduct marijuana-related medical
Where
research,
does the
allowing
first
us
lady start
to study
talking?
benefits, potential dangers, and future treatments. It's going to have a tremendously positive impact, I believe. We're also asking Congress to reconsider
For acute anxiety
Emesis.
carries
I'd rather
significant
pronounce it
risks,
emesis,
particularly in the
personally,
older
but
adults.
you know, to each their
That's
own.
why we're studying specific natural compounds found in cannabis, including the non-addictive cannabidiol, to understand whether they can safely and effectively help
Like
manage
Nemesis,
anxiety during cancer
because they hate
treatment.
weed.
Rescheduling allows us to ask these questions rigorously about dosing, about safety, and who may benefit.
She looks like
most.
she hates weed.
This research reflects the best of federal
She
investment,
looks evil.
helping people not only live longer, but live better. Thank you, Mr. President, for supporting careful, science-based research that puts patients first.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. That's beautiful. Thank you.
I'll add my vote of thanks, Mr. President. I never really thought this day would come. I met a patient about 20 years ago.
The
retired
person
professor named
age?
Elizabeth, who came to my clinic. She was dying.
She
of
looks
pancreatic
40 and
cancer.
70
She
at the
asked
same
me
time.
then whether cannabis might help her, and I said no, because that's what I learned in medical school. She reached into her briefcase, took out a
Is she a doctor? Because she dressed like the other doctors, and I wonder if that's trying to lean on credibility because she's wearing a white blazer.
three-inch tall stack of articles, put them down on my desk, and said, "Really, doctor? You should read these. You might learn something." And I did read those articles, every single one, and found a bunch more. And I did learn something. I learned that there actually is some medical benefit to cannabis that I had not anticipated, never heard about in medical school. Second, I learned that there was a lot we don't know. And third, I learned it's really, really, really difficult to do high-quality, randomized controlled trials of a substance that's federally illegal. This rescheduling has the potential to change all of that and to rewrite the way that we do research related to cannabis in the United States in three ways. First of all, it'll democratize the research process so that all academic institutions can participate in research, not just elite academic medical centers. Number two, it'll give patients and researchers
I want to hear the
access
opposition.
to
Is this where she
highly
starts talking? She
reliable-
moved her hand for a
Such
second.
great people
Thank you very much,
that
Mr.
have
President.
suffered and will suffer a lot less now.
You're right.
Based on what I hear.
Good
Anybody
afternoon.
else, please?
I'm Nora Volkov. I'm Director National Institute on Drug Abuse. And for us, the rescheduling opens the door to actually be able to accelerate the rate at which we can do research and discovery. And research is crucial in order for us to, for example, understand what may be and for whom the dangers of cannabis. Yes, cannabis can be addictive. And certainly people, adolescents and children may be the most vulnerable. But we cannot close our eyes to research and the opportunity that we are hearing from patients that for some of them, cannabis can solve their problem. And so what we need to do is do research, number one, to understand what are those conditions. Number two, in order to be able to optimally learn how to use it. And to understand, number three, who is at danger. And it is knowledge that will allow us to optimally take the benefits that may be behind cannabis, as research shows, but on the other hand, also enable us better to do prevention interventions to protect those that are most vulnerable. So thanks very much.
Great job. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor.
She's not even exactly leaning on the negative too much. She's just pointing out, like, yeah, we can do all these things with cannabis, and it's going to be good to be able to do research. It doesn't even sound like she's necessarily against rescheduling it. It sounds like she just has a different motivation as to why she wants it rescheduled, which isn't necessarily wrong, because maybe she is skeptical of some of the negative effects that maybe we don't even, like, know about or understand or don't, like, attribute to marijuana, which I personally am okay with. I would agree that rescheduling cannabis and making it so that people actually can do research on it is overall a good thing, and whether you're trying to look for the positive things as to i.e. like how to use it, different ways to utilize it, a precise measure of dosage that we can just to throw something hypothetically out there, like let's say we discover that we have to measure your hormone levels to see how it's going to react to this specific cannabinoid concoction that we have built in these genetics to be able to help you with your very specific issue. You can create the perfect strain for legitimately everybody within a couple years of them having a problem, and whether you decide to treat that differently in the meantime or just kind of experiment with different uses of that, it is very important to be able to fully disclose, hey, you're going to be using this medication, and at the same time, these are things you're going to experience that could make this a little bit harder to bear than it would be if you used a different type of medication. And if those are like things we're going to find out, I don't necessarily think that's wrong, and I don't necessarily think she's wrong for wanting to find those things out and finding out, oh, who is in danger of, let's say, brain development issues, cognitive decision-making issues when it comes to being exposed to a chemical that you're ingesting and introducing to your bloodstream. It's very important to get the data on all of that. And if you find data that's like, oh, marijuana is actually a safer drug than we've previously all assumed, or oh, it's less impactful to this than we thought, and maybe we need to reevaluate the age in which we permit this to be used. So it really could go either way, because when you do objective research on something and it's peer reviewed and rewritten and edited and restudied and like perfected, we actually start to understand the objective science of something, and that is never something that should be frowned upon, or it's something that shouldn't be frowned upon, and it also shouldn't be attacked, in my opinion. If you do come from a point of view where you're like, no, we shouldn't legalize it because we shouldn't do research, or we shouldn't reschedule it, not even legalize it, throw that out the window. Let's say rescheduling it, all you did was open it to lab testing, which you don't. I'm not ignoring that fact. But if you want to keep it at Schedule 1 because you don't want research done on it, you should do a little bit of reflection and see why you don't want research done on this thing that could help so many people. And you should ask yourself if it's simply because you don't want people to be helped, if it means they smoke marijuana. Because that's kind of a moral problem on your part. Not saying you think that, Tim Yak. Obviously, you're a user. But for the people who are on the fence and they're like, well, I think people should be able to use it, or I don't think it should be open to research, maybe you should do a little bit of self-reflection and be like, what's your motivation behind that decision that you've made in your brain? And if it's baseless, just be completely honest.
Bobby, do you have something to say?
I'll just echo thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and vision and finally getting to closure on this issue.
How does anyone work with that guy? You can't understand. It's like he's talking through like barbed wire.
This is a question, a scientific question, that has divided our country for many, many years.
Oh, I thought he was
And
going to
there are
ask
valid
something
claims
smart.
on
My
both
mistake.
sides. On one side, patients and physicians attest that cannabinoids and THC can have miraculous effects on chronic pain, on epilepsy, on PTSD, on chemotherapy-induced nausea. My friend Howard Kessler, without whom we wouldn't be here today, drove this change in the schedule, and he did it because of his own experience in mitigating the impacts of chemotherapy. There's nothing to gain from this. He just saw something that worked for him, that worked for thousands of other Americans, and he wants to make it available to them. On the other side, there are valid claims about the negative impacts, about addiction, about psychosis, about adverse public health impacts, and impacts particularly on young people. So we haven't been, the evidence on all of these is anecdotal and it's hypothetical because
One thing is for sure, that guy needs to be checked into a hospital.
You have a lot of people have housing that because we have such a strong time and such a strong market, their houses are very valuable. It's a big part of their net worth, their house.
Yeah.
I don't want to knock those numbers down because I want them to continue to have a big value for their house. At the same time,
Wait, what the fuck is he talking about right now? I thought we were talking about rescheduling cannabis. Now you're talking about house prices and wanting to conserve people's net worth. Even though people's net worth is measured in relation to the objective market and averages and not, oh, number bigger, so number good. You fucking idiot. What? I must have missed some serious context.
and a very brilliant guy, and when they go through this horrible ordeal of cancer or other things, and they realize that this is something that makes them feel better without all of the side effects of some of the drugs where you're just totally knocked out and out of it. But I'd like to have one of the doctors maybe respond, because you people do it better than anybody.
I'm happy to respond.
Yes.
I mean, and my answer is we have had cannabis scheduled for how long? And it hasn't protected neither the adolescents nor the adults. We have 20 million people in the United States with a cannabis use disorder. This is not legalizing it. It's making easier to do research so that we can use it when it is indicated and optimally.
So it's also a big part of this is research. In other words, you'll now have a much larger sample, and you'll be able to see if it's as good as many people say it is. I mean, people say it is.
Did he just like repeat what she said to sound smart? That's so goofy.
Beyond good, and you'll be able to find that out now.
Yeah, one more. On housing, you talked in your address last night about housing.
Yeah.
Are you still considering a national emergency over housing?
I'm looking at it.
What would
yeah,
that look
I'm
like?
looking
What
at
would
it.
that mobilize?
You know, I have
Okay.
there's two thoughts on housing. You
So
know, a
if
lot
someone
of people have
completely just asked a
housing
random
because
question.
We have such a strong time and such a strong market.
I watch a little bit of Trump talk. You know what I mean? I can only like handle it in small bursts, but I've heard enough to understand that he is going through some serious mental deterioration. And a big thing too is if Biden was in the same state that Trump is right now and he was president and he was doing everything identical to Trump, policies, everything, and he was doing exactly what Trump was doing but with a Biden skin, brother would get absolutely cooked by the right. Like, it wouldn't even be a question. It's so goofy listening to him talk because it's like you're not even watching like a real person talk about anything actually like real. A lot of it is just incoherent nonsense.
Get their houses are very valuable. It's a big part of their net worth, their house. I don't want to knock those numbers down because I want them to continue to have a big value for their house. At the same time, I want to make it possible.
Yeah, I don't have any
young people
prejudgment.
out there and other people.
I always wait for something
housing.
to
in a way, they're
be
at
worth
conflict.
judging.
In other words, you create a lot of housing all of a sudden, and it drives the housing prices down. So I want to take care of the people that have houses that have a value to.
And that takes
to the
education
asset
on my
they never
part.
thought possible, that have sort of made them wealthy and happy, and especially in their later years. Got to be careful with that. I want to keep them up. At the same time, I want to make it possible for people to go buy houses. Daniel, please.
Mr. President, you announced the Warriors dividend.
I have yet to see anything that even slightly indicates that he wants to make houses more affordable or make it so that people could buy more houses, because it's not happening. I mean, he's been president for almost 5 years,
Very patriotic, very.
and real estate's only gone up in price, and
How'd you come up with
wages
this?
have
What made
only
you wanna give that
stagnated.
1776 was easy to come up with because we're actually at 1775. The number was 1775, and I said, wow, I think we can afford one more dollar.
No, it's true. And then we're also letting a felon run the country.
But they came up to me, it was $1,775. So I said,
Yeah, he
well,
really
let's add
does,
a
man.
dollar
And
to it.
apparently
We
it
can
works on
find that.
people
And
who, in his words, are uneducated.
very simple. We've had a military that, in my opinion, by other presidents, was not treated well. They're incredible. They're our finest people. They're
What do you mean by
protecting
that,
us.
though, specifically?
And because of tariffs, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars more than we ever have before.
Literally, I'm
With
sure
no
my
inflation.
I'm sure my wife
With no
gets
inflation.
comments
You saw
like
the
that.
inflation numbers, they just came out today.
I'll actually tell her about that.
Practically no inflation. And yet we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And this is small potatoes.
Apparently, she had never heard of Trump RX. Have you guys heard of Trump RX before? I introduced her to the concept of Trump RX, and I also told her about the whole his beef with insurance companies and how they could get cheaper drugs, so that's why he slashed the budget for Medicare and Medicaid so that they couldn't compete with his prices, or they wouldn't have as many people signed on. And then he had Trump RX, where he could sell meds directly from the producer, and the only way that he could make prices competible was if people had to buy meds without insurance or sign up with Trump RX, so that he could actually make money from that fraudulent company by sending in order to cut the budgets so that people couldn't get insurance. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who work in those kinds of services are well humored, and if you say it like you both know it's a joke, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. The cost for
It's a way
insurance.
of taking care of our warriors, our soldiers.
And how are you doing that?
And I appreciate that question, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, Caroline
It was an easy one.
I wonder if he erased data for how many homeless soldiers there are in the U.S. today. In the fiscal year 2025, ending September 2025, the VA housed over 51,900 homeless veterans, a record high, but the total number experiencing homeless on any given night based on early 2024 data, as 2025 data is pending, is around 32,882, with about 14,000 unsheltered, showing a decline, desperate rising overall homeless. While VA efforts placed many into housing point in time PIT counts like the January 2024 showing 33,000 offer a snapshot, while annual total housed by VA reflects successful interventions. So good work from the VA, housing over 51,000, almost 52,000 veterans. But I'd love to know specifically like points on how he's helping veterans, if he could expand on that, or if anyone actually knows anything he's doing to help veterans in any kind of general way. Hal Sparks will walk us through the basement of Trump's Peak. Should I be able to just look that up on YouTube? English is my worst language. Trump savagely breaks Hall during autism talk. Is this what you're talking about?
How do we even, ladies and gentlemen, how in the world do we even? And as they start, you can see it as he starts waddling out there when they've decided to do this. And he went over to talk to somebody, and then they come back, and I don't know, it was.
Confront the.
Also, I would like to point out that RFK Jr. Is probably rocking as much vitamin D as a human being can possibly make in their current wilting scrotal-like carcass. And I don't know why his skin looks like a fucking 7-Eleven hot dog, but you can decide for yourself.
Of autism.
The reason is because he belongs in a nursing home and not Congress.
horrible, horrible crisis. I want to thank the man who brought this issue to the forefront of American politics along with me.
Along with me. Listen to this. Like, he's already taking credit for a cure. Jesus.
And we actually met in my office, is it like 20 years ago, Bobby? It's probably 20 years ago in New York.
Yeah, that's why you said you've been waiting for this meeting for 20 years, because you had a meeting 20 years ago and your brain thinks that now is 20 years ago is 20 years from now is a meeting. This is a meeting because you had a meeting 20 years ago and 20 years have passed. So you've been waiting to have a meeting since that last meeting.
I was a developer, as you probably heard, and I always had very strong feelings about autism and how it happened and where it came from.
Always. I mean, I read his first book, but I really, like, it was such a tome. It was hard to get through. But then his follow-ups and then that work of fiction that he wrote that was kind of captured the struggles of a child with autism who happens to be, you know, grow up to be a developer who's best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and manages to dodge the legal ramifications of it for years. It was a touching tale. It was sort of like Adolescence meets Animal House.
This game, you're not ready for it.
And he and I don't know, the word got out, and I wouldn't say that people were very understanding of where we were, but it's turning out.
My bad. I forgot to unmute my mic. My daughter needed help. She needed milk. But anyway, what I was talking about, Strange Joe seems like a super busy guy. Seems like he's on the documentary side of things. I have a lot of respect for him. I've been seeing video he's been putting up. Rescheduling cannabis, as far as I'm concerned, federally, it's going to make it so there's higher access for scientific research, like we talked about. In states where it is legal recreationally, you will still be able to buy recreationally because the state laws won't change based on the federal reschedulization. It will just probably be easier to get and to use. And when it comes to at least Michigan, I was saying that I think there's going to be a 23%. I might be getting the number wrong. New tax rate on cannabis in Michigan. Michigan has implemented a 24% excise tax on the wholesale cannabis transaction, which will take effect January 1st, 2026. This tax is in addition to the existing 10% excise tax and 6% sales tax on retail marijuana sales, and the new tax aims to generate approximately $420 million annually to support road and bridge repairs through the Neighborhood Road Foundation, which I like the mission, putting the money towards rebuilding roadways and bridges. That's good. The 34% tax on cannabis, though, yeah, that's probably not even a legit number. It's probably going to be like 1.4 million. Including sales from growers and processors for retailers. Industry making stakeholders have expressed concerns about the potential impact on consumer prices and the viability of smaller operators in the regulated market, which, yes, it's a huge fucking concern, because when you put a 30% tax on something, people aren't going to want to buy it as much. You're not going to have a high rate of buying, because at that point it's going to start being way cheaper, as it already is, to grow from, like, just at your house. Do you see how they put that's 40% of the Michigan state of Michigan, however you look at it? Yeah, so it's like a 40% tax on cannabis. That's almost 50%. So, because it's the 24% excise tax on top of the already existing, which means that gets added, so it's 34, right? 34 plus the 6% sales tax is 40%. So if you're going out there and you're willingly spending 40% more than you have to on that cannabis, or a 40% bonus essentially on top of just selling the cannabis or buying the cannabis, that's fucking stupid. That's so fucking stupid. Like, I'm not saying you're stupid for buying weed. I'm just saying, like, if you look at it financially speaking, objectively, it would probably be way cheaper to just grow it home. Putting the legal market out of business. And this is how they're going to do it. They're going to outprice the legal market by putting taxes on it that are just essentially price gouging. So let's see if we can learn about the crumbling business of marijuana. If this video will play.
While many imagine being able
oh
to
my
hold
lord
an ad with your name on it just by thinking about Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
Yeah, it was before your time too, Tim Yak. The Boston Tea Party was crazy.
A few independents are still making money. These owners are the ones with real business acumen in this industry, resilient, savvy, and shrewd. They turn a profit year after year, outlasting the VC-backed giants, regulatory hurdles, commoditization, and the black market. In this modern MBA original, we go from the macro to micro to understand how to survive in this crumbling business, from the global corporations all the way to 3 independents in the world's most competitive market.
Happy 420. There you go. There you go.
We ignore phone calls, don't reply to texts, and leave emails unread. Spam hasn't slowed down. It's evolved and multiplied in the digital age. Modern tech didn't kill it. It supercharged it.
I have a huge problem too, because people don't understand, like, weed is so much different than alcohol, because not everyone wants to learn how to make wine or beer at home, right? That's kind of a lost art. A lot of people aren't. There's some people who do that. But there's so many growers, and those growers live in communities where it's like, we're not going to let it run out. because there's people who are going to cut clones. There are people who are going to breed. There are people who will give away seeds for free to make sure that this keeps going. Whether the person they're giving it to grows or not, they say, hey, keep this, take care of it, give it to someone who you think can be trusted with these genetics. We have such a different community that it won't take as much to tax us out of something. It will not take us much to trip over like a wire that is the industry and the bastardization of cannabis itself when it comes to them fucking our plant up. Because we don't want just one aspect of it, right? We want to be able to utilize it in any way we see fit, in any way possible. I don't remember the seed crisis. No, give a little short description of it, and then maybe I'll look it up, actually, because I never even heard of that, and that must have been recent. Seed crisis of 2025. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, a lot of people got concerned that they wouldn't be able to get a hold of weed, which I think was dumb, but that's just me. No, it is super dumb. There's always places you're going to be able to get cannabis seeds. There's always places. I actually did hear about that, but I didn't know it was a crisis. I heard some people were like, oh, what if we can't get weed seeds? What? And I heard it for like 2 seconds and then it was done.
Social
So
media and scrapers are
maybe it just wasn't
every
a big
scrap of
deal.
your digital life, all in the name of profit. And behind the scenes, there's a whole industry making it happen, data brokers. These are companies who spend every waking moment collecting your personal information, then selling it without your consent to marketers, scammers, and stalkers. Data brokers are making billions doing it, and they're operating in the open. What's worse, even though they're legally required to delete your data if you ask, they bury that process in confusing legalese and endless hoops. It's all designed to wear you down. At Modern MBA, we're all tech savvy. We've got blockers installed, rotate our passwords, follow best practices, and deleted our social media profiles long
I don't
ago.
know, because
we were surprised when today's sponsor.
Here's my thing. YouTube is allowed to do whatever they want. They're a private company. It doesn't matter like if it gets completely legalized. Like YouTube can still react however it wants to whatever it wants. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. It's a private company. They make their own rules. It's completely separate from the legal system. Now, do they have to abide by the law? Yes. But that doesn't mean something becoming legal means they have to tolerate it, right? Like, I'm allowed to walk around in public as a man without a shirt, but if I go into a public place that says no shirt, no shoes, no service, I'm not going to get serviced at that place, and YouTube is no different. Especially when they're paying me money, I have to live under their conditions. That's why I'm not allowed to say certain things or be as extreme as maybe I feel about things unless I make music about it. That's for some reason an exception. But if I'm coming on here and I'm just talking to you guys and I'm streaming or whatever, I can't be like, oh, like I legitimately feel like this guy should be like off by somebody. Like even if I did feel that, I'm not allowed to say it because that will get my YouTube channel pulled down super fast. Even though that's part of my that's a freedom of speech issue, you can argue. It's not necessarily a call to action depending on how you look at it, but whether it's a call or action, something that's like clearly not a call to action, but YouTube still dislikes, my point is, they could still take me down. If it becomes more legal, it will mean more advertisers and more money, and YouTube likes money. But here's the thing. Advertisers are very different than creators. I am not going to make any more money. I am not going to see more recognition from YouTube as a creator. And this doesn't just like account for me, right? It accounts for Pigeons, Mr. Grow It, Strange Show, Rob from CLTV. It affects everybody who's in the cannabis space. Like Dad's Grow Tent, Easy Canadian Grower, all of those guys. We are in a niche that gets attacked by YouTube. We don't pay them for advertising, so we don't get advertised. But advertisers will pay them to roll their ads. That's how they get cannabis money. We already see that. That's a phenomenon that's already happening. There are cannabis product ads on videos that are demonetized because of what they talk about. Like I get advertised cannabis on commentary channels that talk about like horrendous things that people do because I'm into true crime. Less concerned about federal authority and their licensing if they're doing everything on the legal. Yeah, but that's the thing. Still, it falls back to who is controlling YouTube and how do they feel about what we do. Because they don't care as long as they're getting money. But I'm not giving them money. They're giving me money to host a space on their platform. And if I don't play by their rules, they will refuse to pay me. And they will keep demonetizing and keep suppressing and keep me down from what my potential is. Like, I tell people all the time because I genuinely believe it. If I didn't have a cannabis channel and I was talking about something else, like say I had a commentary channel about something I really liked, I would probably have tens of thousands of subs. Just because of how much content I've put out, how much time I put into this, and how much effort I put into refining my thought process, creative process, and just how I project myself onto the internet and how I am as a creator in general. Like, I know I have the things that make a good creator, but the thing is, YouTube just doesn't like what I do, so I'm stuck at a certain rate of growth. And I appreciate every single fan I get. It's not to say that I'm not grateful for what I have. It's just to say that I could be so much bigger on the platform and host a bigger space if YouTube didn't care about what I did. And the fact that they do care so much and that I have gotten to the place that I'm at, even though I'm not making a living, that's impressive in itself. That's like climbing a mountain. Jimmy, I appreciate you hanging out, man. No, cannabis is not a Schedule 1 drug any longer, but all those words up there, add cannabis to it. Heroin is a Schedule 1 drug. Add cannabis to it. Okay, again, like the thing is, yeah, there are those things, and people think, like they associate marijuana with being as dangerous or addictive as heroin or crack cocaine simply because it's been scheduled there, but people have their biases anyway, and people who are in power in YouTube apparently have a bias. I appreciate that, Tim Yak. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm my biggest critic, I guess. So I do appreciate the compliment though, and that you think that of me. But the thing is, like, I personally, I do not stand on the side that, oh, it's getting rescheduled, so everything's going to be okay. In fact, I'm going to get promoted because now YouTube's going to like it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to face this in the fact that it is and not be delusional. Like, I'm not paying YouTube to share my content because I'm not paying for ads. They had a bias yesterday at YouTube. People talking about Schedule 1 cannabis. Believe personally that today YouTube has a different opinion and loves money. That could be, I don't know. Like, if they're like, hey, cannabis channels could be a fucking money cow, so let's put more ads on them. Let's monetize them more to incentivize them making more content. Like, those are things I'm in favor of. I'm not to say that I'm not in favor of that. I just personally have a hard time looking at everything that's happened and saying, yeah, most likely I'm okay. Most likely shit's gonna get better for me. And the entire cannabis space in general. Not to say that it's a selfish thing. I want it for everybody. We all deserve to be bigger and get more out of what we're doing because everyone's putting in so much work. But I have a hard time accepting that there is a possibility that YouTube is going to be moving on to giving us a platform here that really is as unrestricted as other things. That's all I'm saying.
Aura uncovered over 30 data brokers still selling our personal information. They don't own our data, yet they're making bank off it. That's robbery. With one click, Aura took care of the hardest part and removed our information from these websites. And most importantly, they're...
I'll go on record and say I hope you're right. Is there something I could watch to help me get, like, more context on YouTube's potential, like, new perspective? I do think
continuing to monitor to make sure.
I do hope the federal rescheduling, if somebody had YouTube's number, we could just call them and ask them. Ta-da. Technically, I do have a YouTube representative, but I don't know if I have an actual physical person representing me or if it's just an AI bot.
Information stays off for
I have
good.
no
Aura
idea.
is an all-in-one digital security that goes far beyond any tool you may already have. Don't take a piecemeal approach to digital security. For someone to build the next...
Take what you do best and create a website that's worthy of it.
Marlboro.
Like, is there something I can look up from, like, YouTube that specifically addresses how they're going to react to cannabis in the future given the rescheduling? Or is that just the Sam's Club person who helped me this morning on the phone introduce themselves as an AI bot? That is disturbing.
Bud Light or CVS for cannabis.
I ordered 200 hand-forged knives to my dorm room and built a Wix website to sell them.
As more states and countries joined in after 2012, every link in the value chain, from farming to retail, was up for grabs. Startups burned through millions in venture capital and private equity, building fast and talking big. When Canada legalized marijuana in 2018, it gave these same companies the means to pump and dump. No company symbolized the hype more than Tilray, the first cannabis company to ever go public on a US stock exchange. By 2019, Tilray was the exclusive supplier of medicinal marijuana to Novartis, the lead partner with Anheuser-Busch on THC drinks, and the CBD distributor for Authentic Brands. But it was founded by VCs who boasted repeatedly that federal legalization was coming soon, and that legal weed would disrupt big pharma, big tobacco, and big alcohol. Tilray stock soared from $30 to $180 in 2 months, hitting a $17 billion valuation, 600 times revenue. Insiders quickly cashed out, but the international medicinal business was all hype and no substance. Overseas customers were only accessible through tightly regulated channels, with strict dosages and state-controlled pricing. The real money was in the US, but as a NASDAQ-listed company, Tilray couldn't sell there. That left Canada as the only option. Tilray tried to buy.
I'm bored. Is there anything we want to look up or look into when it comes to the cannabis space and stuff? Like I've been gone for a minute, you know what I mean? So a lot of stuff has probably changed. What do you call it? The cannabis seed panic, November 2025. Let's see if there's they banned cannabis seeds price going up. This is by Travesty Studios. Is hemp getting banned in 2025? November 2025 updates. Top 5 cannabis seed banks by Grow It Easy. Seedsman's review. The top reason why your seeds aren't germinating. That looks like the cannabis experts. Yeah, let's look at cannabis seed ban.
Next year at this time, seeds will be federally illegal.
It'll probably be a few months if I'm being real. Like these things move slow.
If they got to start sourcing their seeds differently, or they got to start paying so much more.
The new language explicitly targets viable seeds capable of producing a plant that exceeds 0.3% THC limit, including THCA. This means the legality of seeds is now tied to the potential THC content of the resulting plant rather than the seed's own negligible THC
Or
content.
you're going to see that price increase on the shelves, and this is going to be nationwide.
Nonsense.
As I'm sure you saw, the government is back open. Don't notice a difference myself when it's closed, but that's a whole nother thing. What does matter is what they included in that bill to reopen the government. So it was Team Red that put in this law and got every grower in the nation alarmed, okay? They have just outlawed seeds. Over the past 10, 15 years, you can buy seeds in the U.S. because they contain less than 0.3 or 0.03% THC. Before this, what we all had to do was we had to order the stuff overseas. It would like go through customs, and then what you would get would be like a CD case, and you'd pull up the CD tray, and it would be like a baggie of seeds taped in there. Or you'd get like a flash drive, and then on the screws, there would be glue on it, on the head. So
That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know how they would enforce that. How are they going to test the seeds to find out the result? Or after they grow a plant, it takes like 3 to 5 months. Yeah, I have no idea how they're going to test it or how they're going to enforce it or how they even made that a rule.
So you could see if somebody opened it, and then you'd open it when you get it, and you never know how you're going to get it, right? You're going to get a package that you need to rip apart and find these things. So you open up the USB drive, and then there's no circuit board or anything. It's just a baggie rolled up.
But the seed companies like what's going on right there. What do you mean? What's the weirdest way you guys have been sent seeds, by the way? Because the weirdest way I've been sent seeds was from the True North Seed Company. I believe I got seeds from Canuck Seeds. They sent me seeds labeled as dog poop bags as an anti-theft measure.
That's how everyone used to have to get like feminized or autoflower, whatever seed you're
Oh,
looking for. The government's bill was
Okay, so you're saying the seed companies like the higher prices because they get more of a profit margin. That's not necessarily black and white true. There's a lot of details that could cut into their profit margin even then, so that it would be identical to when the seeds were lower prices, but then there's also going to be lower customers because no matter how like you increase your price, when you increase your price, you automatically lower the percentage of people who are willing to buy your product. That's just how it is. Now, it could be 0.1% of customers or 0.2%, so they won't get like a noticeable difference, but I don't think they're going to be like having their prices skyrocket up because of the exclusivity and legality of it. They're also going to see a tank in people who are able to buy their products or willing to buy their products. So they're actually going to lose money.
Aimed at
most likely
like Delta 9 or Delta 8 or whatever you call it.
You haven't seen that Delta 9, like they sell it at smoke shops.
Yeah, see, it's
when
a
I
weird.
stopped by before I came here, they had a new sign out. It's like Delta 9 THC sold here.
They're trying to close this loophole right now in the government where, okay, your Delta 9, it's a very low THC content. It still is THC and it's in every plant, right? But they can concentrate it through this loophole and really raise that THC content. But it's a nasty, artificial kind of high. I believe what this was aimed at was to close that loophole of gas station herb, right? But they specifically said seeds. And the way they worded it, because, you know, the argument is, well, seeds don't have that threshold of 0.3% THC. They said seeds because you...
No, I've never heard of cannabis.
You have
we
to,
can look it up,
with
though.
this new bill, you have to take into account its final form. And that seeds grow up into something that has more than 0.3% THC. But they specifically put seeds into the bill. Now, it's already passed. It's already law. But it
that's
doesn't
pretty
go
cool.
into effect for 12 months. So I'm assuming
Definitely support that. What time is it now?
Something will be
4:30
done and people will fight back.
for me, at least.
But already, growers are stocking up, buying thousands of seeds. You know, because you now have these American companies who are working on genetics. You got like Royal Queen Seeds, Fast Buds. Even
That's awesome.
local
I'm happy to
companies
hear
like
it.
Growlahoma. And Growlahoma already sees the writing on the wall.
What
'cause they
what
won't even
what
let
strain
you
are you
buy
most
with,
excited
like,
to
credit
grow?
cards anymore. You have to buy with like crypto and stuff. Yeah, so I don't even know. That's how I used to have to buy Kratom. Was that you'd have to do it through one of these alternative payment methods because they didn't want to be tracked and they don't want to report.
I'm the
this and
same
that.
way, Tim.
People are stocking up, and your seed banks, they're running big sales, and
Okay.
nobody knows what's going to happen.
Sounds fun.
But effectively, at this moment right now,
I definitely want to try doing autos, but now with this new seed law, taking into account the new seed law, if you are an auto grower, you won't be able to buy seeds as abundantly and won't be able to test out automatic genetics. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's going to be a lot more financially suitable to use seeds you already have if you have photos, or find a friend who does photos and get some seeds. And my thing is, I have strains. I have probably some Chill Out OG seeds left. I have probably a couple Peanut Butter Breath seeds left. But most of my seeds now are Strawberry Banana Breath and Blueberry Breath, which are two strains that I just created. And I have a ton of seeds of each, and that might have to get me through the next decade. Nice. And if this ban doesn't actually... Is this in effect?
next
Or is this
year
something
at
that's
this time,
proposed?
seeds will be federally illegal. What do you think about that? They
Okay, so he says this next year at this time, and this was posted... What? 3 weeks ago. Seeds will be illegal to sell. So I could potentially sell seeds if people still wanted to get a hold of them. I don't know how it all works. But I imagine I could just like have you guys Venmo me money and I send you seeds or something if you guys were interested. Found out the seeds that come off my backyard plants have been fertilized by some doofus plant within the 5 miles from here. Nice. That's fucking whack. I'd rather at least know what I'm getting bread
This
with.
isn't an accident. I read the part. I didn't read the whole bill or anything, but I did read the couple paragraphs. It said seeds because their final form is over 0.3% THC. What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty dumb.
It's
And
fucking stupid.
They can outlaw it all they want. It's still gonna continue. It's not gonna put a stop to it.
Yeah, but like your average, well, let's just say your average pothead is a retard, and like you know, you don't get as much backseed as you used to. You know.
No.
Right. I have no idea. Yeah, at least you know the female original, so you know part of the history. I have an advantage of knowing the genetics that went into my cross, fortunately. And in the future, I guess I'm going to have to be crossing to get F2s and F3s and so on. Because if there's going to be a ban, I guess it's a great timing, phenomenal timing that I do my first cross, and now I can perfect it, and I won't be able to get regulated because I can own as many seeds as I want, but apparently it's going to be illegal to sell them based on what their final form plant produces in the flower stage. But I will be able to have an unlimited stock of seeds myself because I know how to make them now. So, I'm going to be able to have, in 5 years from now, I'm going to be able to have mason jars full of concentrate, full of seeds, and full of flour. I will have an entire library of genetics and genetic combinations that seldom people see in a lifetime. So fortunately, I am now in a position of power that I have not been in. I have an advantage that not a lot of people get when it comes to a situation like this, because a lot of people, they'd be like, well, I'm looking at the seed ban. I don't know how to make seeds. I don't know how to make them viable. I don't know anything about breeding, but now I'm in a situation where I have 50, 150, 20,000 seeds that I'm going to run through and run out eventually. And this is what I've been preaching the whole time, is self-sufficiency. Whether you have 2 genetics that you start with, or 5 or 10 different genetics that you start with, make seeds. It is the basis of life for that medication. Make them and store them as long as you possibly can, and keep them around. Make as many as you can and keep them around as much as you can, because that's the only way you're going to be ensured that you have freedom in the palm of your hands.
But even the ones you do get, you don't want to grow, because you don't know the history of the genetics and they're not feminized. So you might put all of this work into it, few months, flip it to flower, and it be a male, because you don't know until then. Right. You know, it starts developing little ball sacks, little pollen balls.
That's not necessarily true either.
But nonetheless, so it's very nice that people can buy feminized seeds or autoflower, right? So you can know whether you're getting a photo period or an autoflower. But it almost seems like they're trying to target.
I mean, he's got a big following, though, at least.
Is what it really is.
Yeah.
And he at least somewhat
like,
knows what he's talking about.
Depending on your state, our state, you can pay, who knows, $100, $300 a year, and then you can grow 18 plants, technically. 6 vegetative, 6 flowering, and 6 seedlings and or clones, I believe is the rule.
That's
but you
so
can only
stupid.
have 6 flowering plants at any given time. And if you get that license, you open yourself up to inspections in your home from the health department. And I don't know how much they are or aren't doing that. You know, everybody I know who does this, well, the health department's the last person they're going to tell, you know. But these seed banks, I don't know. I expect it to go bananas. Because what if I was in their shoes, I would ramp up production right now, and I would just flood the game. You know what I mean? In case all of this does go away. But I think it's cool that we have companies over here who are running their own genetics. So they're crossing this with this. And that actually goes to a funny point.
Okay, so I don't want to let him ramble on forever without getting to these points. So one thing he said with the bag seeds, or I'm kind of going to address it, but the first thing he said with the bag seeds is, oh, you get that plant and then you have the seed and you grow it and you don't know the genetic history, you don't know the parents, you don't want to take a risk on that. Sure, for the average guy, that's going to be a pain in the ass because the average guy isn't really like a grower, but you put that in my shoes, right? The way I look at it. If you get 10, 20 bag seeds and you have a decent sample, the odds are you're going to get quite a few females. Just start high. If you're like, I want to harvest 3 plants, germinate 12 of them, you know, and then pick the stronger females. And as far as not knowing the genetic history, you don't need to know the genetic history to grow a plant and determine if it's good or not. And if you do know the family history, just because you have a kin from that genetic line does not mean the plant is going to be something that agrees with you or that you like, just because there's too many factors that can come into it. Now, you can listen to a description of the things and be like, yeah, I'm more inclined to like a genetic like this, but a bag seed that you get, I think, would be worth the risk growing a free seed, personally. Sure, it's not feminized, so you have a risk of getting a male, but that's why you plant a bunch of them. And, yeah.
You know, you still hear people saying this shit now. I like sativas better. I like indicas better. You're
So
not
fucking mixed, yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting a pure indica or a pure sativa. You don't even know what you're getting because, like, let's
still
say
like
Royal
that.
Queen seeds, okay? Let's say they get, they like strawberry cream pie punch from, you know, Grow Lahoma. So they have to take Grow Lahoma's word on what it's this crossed with this, right? And then they're going to do their own crossings. Everything is a hybrid. I don't even think you can honestly say this is indica dominant.
I've
or
never
sativa
actually measured it.
dominant
I just
anymore.
go with
It's just a plant. Smoke it.
I just go with scientifically there's a 50-50 chance. And if you get the plants, you're lucky. I don't think I can play the TV from in here. I think I'm going to have to get up. But, yeah, I just go with it's 50-50. If I get more than 50% females, I'm a happy guy. And I just think I got a lucky batch. But good for you, man. That's not a bad rate. Two males out of 3 on one strain. You just reminded me. Wild. Do you do any breeding, Tim? Are you making any of your own genetics?
You know what I mean? It is just literally that. Do you go to the dispensaries at all?
Yeah.
Have you been seeing the rise in spray pack?
Spray pack.
Extreme flavors that you wouldn't otherwise see. Fruity Loops, Campfire, S'more, Strawberry, Dragon Fruit, Apple, Oatmeal. You know, like these out of this.
Think so, but I don't really pay attention. I order it offline, but I just go to the flower section, so I don't really scope out the.
Okay, well, this was more of a problem on like the East and West Coast. Really, the East Coast, like New York, But spray pack is just like it sounds.
Alright, I think I gotta log off,
People,
guys.
your manufacturers, they're gonna take your herb and they're gonna spray it. Now they'll tell you they're spraying it with terps,
Alright.
but A, don't spray shit on the weed.
I think little brother pulled my girl's hair. I think I gotta log off. I enjoyed chatting with you guys and hanging out and talking about the rescheduling and some other cannabis drama. Yeah, if you do want to breed, skunk number one's not a bad pick to make a cross with. I simply made my crosses because those are genetics that I had grown. I did originally want to do the peanut butter breath with a wedding cake, but I decided to retire temporarily growing when my wedding cakes were in a stage where I ultimately had to get rid of them, I believe, or something like that, or I didn't end up germinating them, so I might have them still. I can't remember what happened. Actually, I'll look up cannabis right now. I might have bought a few minutes because my daughter stopped going berserk.
Welcome to our second evening of celebration in the Home Grow community. As a reminder, this stream is for viewers age 21 and over. If you are not 21, please leave the stream now. Thank you to all who made this community event possible.
317 subs.
Ho, 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 Merry Cannabis.
Is this a fully AI channel, or is it just the beginning? Growing Grind 512?
Entries. There is one entry I probably should have taken out, and if the one that says yes right here, if you see that, they had some problems filling out the form, and I tried to contact them, and then that will be, this is just for the US. So if you're in the United States,
Oh, okay.
only in the United States, you can type in Santa Buzz and then to be entered. And you do have to be present to win for live drawings.
And capitalization does not matter, but it does need to be one word.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. 673 subscribers, not bad. How many videos has she done? Not many. It's good to see someone giving back to the community, though. Obviously, genetics are a big deal to a lot of growers that don't have access either to the budget for new genetics, or maybe they want to win new stuff to experiment with other genetics that they wouldn't have. Yeah, we always like a chill community. It seems pretty laid back and just kind of like vibing out, just chilling, doing weed people stuff. So, no, that seems like a lot of fun. I'll probably tune in 7 p.m. today. That'd be awesome. If any of you other guys are looking to chill at 7 p.m. in a live stream, it looks like you guys will know where to find me. And I will see you guys next time. Leave your likes, final thoughts, any questions, comments, concerns. Leave them in the last couple of seconds. I appreciate you guys for chilling out, especially after my unpredictable hiatuses or hiatusize or hiatus. Saturday at 9:30 or 10 a.m. on the Grow and Grind channel. Does she do lives there? Is that her schedule? 9:30 or 10 on Saturday, and then 7 p.m. on Friday. And apparently this is the last week they're doing it, because it is a Christmas themed type thing, which is pretty cool. But hey, see you next time. That's our news on rescheduling cannabis to Schedule 3. I hope we have a bright future ahead of us. Thank you guys very much. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button on the way out.